المصطفى محمد آل محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations on this very auspicious, happy occasion of the birthday of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullah alayh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst their sincere lovers, their sincere followers, and those who will get to visit them in dunya and gain their shafa'ah, their intercession in the akhirah, insha'Allah. One of the titles that those three individuals, Imam Hussein and Imam Zayn al-Abidin and Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, salamullah alayhim, one of their very famous titles is that they were the heroes of Karbala. And we know that Karbala was the revival of Islam. Had it not been for the sacrifices in Karbala, the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family members, his companions, and the sacrifices of the family who stayed behind, Zainab salamullah alayha, and the children led, and their master being Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, had it not been for all that, Islam would not have survived the way we know it today. And that's a reality. And what I mean by that is, perhaps we would still have Quran, but the only thing remaining of Islam would be the shells, individuals, and a society that the only practice they know is perhaps to have the Quran come into their homes as they move homes. And as they want to travel, they walk under the Quran. As they want a protection, they write some ayat of the Quran and put it on their body. And that's all they know of the religion, those very surface shells of the religion. And when I said some of those things, some of you perhaps thought, well, there are people that this is what they do. Yes, perhaps in today's society, we have people, all they know of Islam and all they benefit from Islam is They believe in the Quran and they bring it as they move homes. In some cultures they put it in their sofre. I have seen, the New Year table spread, the special table spread, they put a Quran there. As they want to travel, they walk under the Quran. And some of those traditions, but they don't even know what is in the Quran. And they don't think that they need to know what's in the Quran and they need to practice what is in the Quran to be real Muslims. In fact, Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, in his wasiyah, in his will to his children, to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhim as-salam, he says, this is my wasiyah to you primarily. And to all those who can hear me, my family members and those who can hear me. And to all those that would ever receive my wasiyah. So this is his wasiyah to all of us. In there, after taqwa Allah and the rest of his wasiyah, he gets to a part about the Quran. And he says, Allah fil Quran, la yasbiqannakum. He says, consider your duty to God with respect to the Quran. Let not anyone be better than you in practicing the Quran. La yasbiqannakum ahadun fil amali bih. Let not anyone proceed and be in a better station than you are in practicing the Quran. We call ourselves Muslims and we believe in the Quran, yet when it comes to practicing it, we don't even know what's in it, let alone practice. So the next question or the issue is, did the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam not succeed? Is that what I'm suggesting here? Or is that what we are to believe? That he sacrificed so Islam survives, so that people know the Quran, practice the Quran, yet people do not know the Quran, they don't practice the Quran. What happened? The reality is, my brothers and sisters, even the qaleel that Quran refers to, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ, even that qaleel would not have existed had it not been for the sacrifices of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The very few would not have existed, except for perhaps Imam al-Hujjah ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. That's probably the only one. And so what the Imam did, revived Islam for those who want to see the Islam to be able to differentiate. You want the Islam of the Prophet and his progeny and the real Quran, those who can interpret the Quran, or you want the Islam of Muawiyah and Yazid la'natullah alayhim? Which Islam do you want? So the Imam came out to make that very clear to the society, to the Muslim Ummah, not just then, but throughout the history. Read, research, and you will find that there is the Islam as portrayed by Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim, and there is the Islam as practiced or not practiced by the cursed Muawiyah and his clan, all of them, Bani Umayyah, from Yazid to Bani Marwan and the rest of them. All of these people followed suit after them, Bani al-Abbas, even worse. They also claimed to be Muslims. The Imam came out to make that distinction. My question is, which group do we belong to? Out of those two groups, which group do we belong to? So tonight we are practicing, or we are getting together, celebrating and remembering and being happy perhaps that we belong to a school that brought about real heroes to humanity. You know, you want to introduce heroes to your children, don't let them think that these fake heroes exist. Introduce the real heroes that humanity had and produced. Introduce to them Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Introduce to them Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullah alayhi. Introduce him to your children. Introduce his sacrifice. Introduce his bravery. Share that with your children from a very young age. Some of our scholars, they narrating some ahadith, they emphasized upon the fact that we need to narrate to our children hadith and stories of Ahlul Bayt before others come and teach them other ideologies. We have a hadith in this context. We need to be very careful to teach them from early on. Introduce those real heroes. So we're celebrating those heroes. What is special about perhaps Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullah alayh? The master is Imam Hussein at that time. What made Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas the Ghazi that he is given the title, or the Saqqa that he's given the title, or any other title that he has earned in terms of being Qamarul Ashira and the rest of it, all these titles that made him the famous hero in the school of Ahlul Bayt was what? Was him being a submissive, a servant to the Imam of his time. So when we celebrate this hero, it is an example for you and I that we have to be like him when it comes to Islam, when it comes to our principles, when it comes to the Imam of our time, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. That's how we should be. So we have an example of how we should be, rather than there were people in that time who knew that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt are the true leaders. They knew that. But they didn't even make it to Karbala. Why do you think that happened? That, my brothers and sisters, happened because those people were living like everybody else in the society, living for their dunya. Even if they had some knowledge about some truth about Ahlul Bayt, they were living for dunya, for this world, materialistic life. All they cared about is to improve their financial status, have a comfortable living, health-wise, financial-wise. That's all what matters. What happens politically, what happens environmentally, what happens in terms of leadership and so on, none of that mattered. They may feel bad that, okay, the wrong leader is now in charge, or he is oppressive, he's killing a righteous person. They may feel bad. I want us to judge ourselves. Which groups are we from? Are we amongst those who would, oh, it's a sad thing, it's a pity that, you know, the people of Yemen are being oppressed. It's such a pity, it's such a bad thing happening. But what can I do? I can't do anything. We can't even, some of us can't even put our money where our mouth is, huh? We can't even put some money to help these people. We cannot raise our voice to raise a concern that there is some injustice, inhumanity happening in this world. Which party are we on? We need to assess ourselves. This is why we have these examples. The examples of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, for example, or Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, for example, for the Imam of their time. We have an Imam in our time, yes? Do you agree with me? Do we have an Imam? Are we 12ers or not? Are we Ithna Ashariya or not? Do we have the Imam of our time living or not? We have him living, yes? If you believe that the Imam was born and is living, and I often tell my audience and my brothers and sisters that when it comes to us, the school of Ahlul Bayt, the Imam is not a concept, he is reality. For some, there is a concept of a Mahdi, that he will come one day. And so many of them have given up on the concept. The concept isn't even there. Although the hadith, all their ahadith in their books narrated, all their books narrate the hadith of the Mahdi coming and bringing justice and so on. All of that is narrated in their books, but they have given up on the concept itself. But for us, it's not a concept, it's reality. In fact, I received a short video, and maybe some of you have received it. It seems to be a fake interview. Somebody asking a supposedly a Shia scholar, what is the benefit of the Mahdi that is ghaib, that is absent in today's world? And this supposedly Shia scholar could not respond and got stuck, and he said, what is the benefit of your question? He couldn't answer the question, so he said, but watching that video, I was wondering to myself, do we know what is the benefit of our Imam in his occultation? As lovers, as followers, as 12ers, inshallah, everyone here believes in the Imam, the 12th Imam. Yes? Was he born or not? Yes or no? Yes? He was born, alhamdulillah. So what is the benefit? What is his purpose? And in very brief, I tell you, the benefit is in what I just shared with you, that he is a reality, not a concept. He is a reality. So we know that he is there. We are awaiting actively, not passively. We are preparing. It doesn't mean that we sit and wait that maybe he will come. No, we know he is born. We know he is waiting. So we wait for him actively. We prepare. This is the benefit. He is like the sun behind the clouds. The sun behind the clouds is there, still gives some light and some warmth. Yes, we don't get the full benefit from that sun. Even the day without the sun out there with the clouds blocking it, that day you don't see the colors well. It is not as beautiful, obviously. It's gloomy, if you want to call it, because the colors don't show themselves very well without the sun. This is the world we're living in. Until the Imam comes and brings the color to this world. Brings all the peace, justice, and beauty to this world. But he is not a concept, he is reality. So if he is reality, and since for us he is reality, and he is coming back, my question to all of us, how are we to the Imam of our time? Don't we have best examples in terms of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, how he was to the Imam of his time, and in terms of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, how he was to the Imam of his time? Don't we have that? So let's look at that and learn. And I want to share a few examples, very few. First, from the life of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. Wherever he went, he made sure he spoke of the Imam, his master of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Wherever he went. After the event of Karbala, he would find any excuse to speak about his master Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He would speak of him if he sees people, even a butcher about to slaughter, he would speak of the Imam. They bring him hot food, he would speak of the Imam. They bring him water, he would speak of the Imam. Anything, absolutely anything, any opportunity, and he would speak of the Imam. And then he would have his tears flowing, and he became known as Sayyidul Bakka'in. One of the Bakka'in, one of those who wept in the history of mankind. One of them is Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. Any opportunity. My question is, how often do we speak of the Imam of our time? Do we introduce him to our children? Do we introduce him to our neighbors? Do we introduce him to any community or gathering that we are part of? Or is he even present in our minds? That's an example. Another example from Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Salamullah alayh, this hero of Karbala. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Salamullah alayh, when he was at the river bank, after he pierced through 4,000 warriors, every one of them with his sword and spear, trying to block him from getting to the river bank, he got through and got the water. And he filled the skin, ready to get back. He filled his hands with water. And one of my teachers, he made a comment on this. And I want you to focus on this with me. He says, لو أن, if Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas at that moment, if he actually had some water, if he drank that water, he was at the riverbank, thirsty, tired, after fighting, perhaps wounds in his body, perhaps even arrows in his body, because they were trying to stop him. It wasn't him just running through them. With all what had happened to him, he has now access to water that they were blocked for 3 days. God knows how long had it been since he had some water. If at that moment he had some water, the question I have for you, do you think Imam Hussein alayhi salam would have been happy to know that, or would he be sad to know that? What do you think? Happy, yes? Even then, he did not drink the water. Why? Because he cannot, and he said it, thinking of his master, he could not taste the water. My master is thirsty, how can I taste the water? You see, in his mind, he says, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni. He talks to himself. He forgets the entire world and the army. He doesn't care about the army of the enemy. Some say that some of them spoke to him and tried to. He speaks to himself, his nafs. He says, who are you? Your master Hussein is thirsty and you want to drink water? No. وَبَعْدَهُ لَا كُنْتَ أَن تَكُونِي. Who am I when the master is thirsty? I don't want the water. You see, his mind is fully occupied by serving his master, the Imam of his time. How often do we think of the Imam of our time? When we look for our pleasure, our happiness, when we're going in our day-to-day life, do we think what could please the Imam of my time, or God forbid, what could displease the Imam of our time? Or do we just go on with our lives, not even remembering that he is there, or he exists, or he's living, or he's waiting for anyone? The real waiting is him, not us. This is the reality. Unfortunately, we are all in the same boat. We all fall short from our duty to the Imam of our time. But we have the best examples and the heroes. And I remind myself and my brothers and sisters that we can learn from them. We can learn from them and we can use them as a wasila. Especially Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the one that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they had a special salam to him. When they went to visit Karbala, they had a special salam to him. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the sacrifice of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, by the status of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, to help us be like him to our Imam. Help us get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through getting closer to the Imam of our time, like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, salamullah alayhi. We have that example. He is accessible to us, especially the school of Ahlul Bayt, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on this night, and on these nights of the month of Sha'ban, very, very special nights, in fact, we ask him in this very special month and special nights, holy nights, that he helps us be amongst the sincere lovers and followers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his family, wajaddihi, his grandfather, his father, his mother and his brother, and the 9 infallible ones from his children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us be amongst their sincere followers, that learn from them and practice that in our day-to-day life. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We have few minutes for questions. Do we have some? We have some time or not? Yes. Any questions? Yes. If I know the answer. Yes.
I heard from some scholar was saying, talking, and he said that Imam Hussein also did the same thing. He went to God and put his hands under the water.
Yes.